Hi, I'm Lynette, and I'm here again to show you more of my collage layers for abstract art because you have nicely asked for more, and I am thrilled to share more with you, my process and my art. So sit back and enjoy the video, and if you have any comments or questions, put them below. If you'd like, I would love it if you would share this with friends and subscribe. But let's begin and get to it. I am working on 3 little ones at this time. They're 6 by 6 and they're in the midst of the process. I do not like any of them. And now I'm just trying things and adding papers. I love adding old vintage book pages. And some of them are from my childhood, which has special meaning. But a lot of them are just old ones that I have been given or found. This I am not crazy about. I work usually on 2 or 3 at a time because 1, I like to use up the paint and not waste it. And also, if I can't decide what to do with one, it's easier to go to the other ones. And the reason I'm covering up this one on the right is I just did not like it. It was too busy. It wasn't working for me. So now I've added a whole bunch of white. And really it's not really starting over because you can see the underneath parts, which also tells that story. It's that history of the painting that now you're doing. And I'll just let that sit. As I look at this one, the shapes aren't necessarily what I'm thinking I like. And it's always just asking myself questions. I grab different tools. Different marks will spark more imagination for me, will spark new ideas. And so I'll use an old plastic knife and take off all the paint, make some more marks, make some lines. I do love to make lines. Now this one I had spritzed on some water, so now I'm wiping some off, which shows a little bit more of underneath, which I just love because then it's just has more richness and more depth to it as opposed to if I just put only a couple layers on. And this one just isn't working out. None of these are working out yet. And it's like, what do I do? Okay, I have a piece of paper. Maybe I could put it on a different angle. What could I do? And then I think, well, what if I have straight edge? That's a nice contrast to all of the more organic elements that I have. Let's try that again. If I liked it once, I may like it again. And let's go for a 3rd time. And one more. But is this too much? What's happening here? Right now I'm just having fun doing lines, and I think it's just too much. It's too many straight lines now. Too much of a good thing. I was having fun, and yeah, the fun's over with on those straight lines. But let's just leave a couple of them, and then that'll still work. And it's still, even though I use that paper, I'm just going to use that paper again. I put on a wash of acrylic with more water so that when I wipe it off with a sponge, I can still see the texture underneath. And then because I don't want to just have the text available for people to read, I want to put some marks on top of it. It just has to have a little bit more uniqueness to it. Now I quite like that. I like the subtle in the background, that grayed down version with the black marks on top. Now I have to figure out where to put it. And a lot of times when I'm just working like this and in the moment, I'll just use paint to put things on with. I could use gel medium to add the layers so that they stick to one another. I could use glue, but if I'm in the moment and I don't have my gel medium handy, I just use the paint. So with this one, I did it in an angle, just in keeping with the angles that I had created before. And then I don't like to waste things, so off it goes on the other ones. Those may or may not stay there, or they may be covered up. But since my fingers are already sticky, then I just put it on elsewhere. Now, because I have this big white space that really does need to be activated, I'm excited. I want to do some more lines. And I even tested out right there on the page to make sure. I quite like that. I quite like the mixture of the round and straight lines and how it's worked. I'm really quite excited about this one. But it's still not, I'm adding the black because if you were to look at it with just the lines, it's not enough. They don't have enough impact. And so I want to emphasize those shapes that I've created with the lines. So then I've gone in there just with the sponge and I've traced the lines, see what kind of shape is going to create. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. It's not bad. I don't want to do too much and fill in all of the spaces. I want to let them have some breathing room in there. And I quite like that little space there that I've left with the cream beige color showing. So I don't want to cover that up, but I like that dynamic black shape. And because it has that strong arch to it, I cut in with it with a beige ink line. And then I add these little dots just to take the eye, make it go over to the edge of the page, and then your eye should drop down to the bottom and come back in again because that diagonal line is taking you in. I really like that one on, which is on the left now. Oh, so excited about it. Now, this one has potential because I really like that paper on the top. And I kind of like those diagonals happening in the background. It needs some softening up. Even though I like geometric shapes, I do like the contrast of softness with it, of the curves. So that's why I add those lines. And I like those lines, so I'm just going to let them sit and dry. This one's a tough one. I am just having trouble with that white stroke on the side. What can I do with it? Can I make some textures maybe with it? That's not bad. I'm using just a little squeeze bottle with paint, watered down paint inside of it. But I'm not sure. Adding a little bit more marks. Is it working? Maybe. Maybe not. But can you see what's happening in here? I'm almost creating a half and half. Half light and half dark. Not sure about this at all. So let's try and lighten up those lines because I'm not quite sure about them. What way will it work? I don't know about this. This one is a tough one. I like what's happening on the left in the dark space because it has a lot of interest. So I'm just going to leave that one because it's annoying me. Back to this one. Oh, I love it. Starting to love it. What else can I do? Still need something. And I'm looking at shapes. And then I go back because I still can't decide on that one. This one's still very much a struggle. Can I put something over top of it? Lessen all that texture that's on it. Give it maybe some eye relief. Negative space so that the eye can rest a bit. Maybe. Certainly not enough though. Oh. It blended in too much there. Was not seen. How can I break up this space that's happening? So determined. If I turn it enough times, will it actually look better? Nope, it doesn't. Don't like it. It's almost like I went back to the beginning of when I first started before I put on those lines. So when in doubt, let's paint it, spritz it a bit with water, and let's wipe some stuff off and see what I get with it. And then at times, instead of just blotting things off, I will use a piece of paper and try and take off some of the paint. It leaves a less mark. And since I have that paint on the paper, why not put it on something else? Certainly adds a little bit to that bottom corner of the right one. This one is a journey. I do wish paintings could be quicker all the time. But with the struggle, with the trying things, there's always learning that's happening while I'm doing it. And that's the joy actually of creating. Because out of any frustration you may have or any challenge that it's not working out, your mind is working on creating. And that's really the beauty of being an artist, isn't it? It's just, we have this capacity to create and work through any of these problems to solve them and get to that point where we go, oh, I love this. And that's what we strive for, to get something that we absolutely love and that we've created with our own hands. This one still isn't working. And because I think I'm trying to save that dark side, because I do like the dark side. And you know what happens when I try and save things, and you might have as well, is it doesn't work as a whole painting when you're trying to get precious with parts of paintings. And This is just going to, here we go again. Yeah, see, I bit the bullet and I covered up some of the things that I really just didn't want to cover up. But I knew it had to happen. A lot of times when I do this, when I find precious parts in a painting that I absolutely love, I'll take a photograph of it so I can remember that I created it and loved it. And knowing that if I created it, then I should be able to create it again. And chances are I can create it even better the next time. Now, I may be wondering, did I cover up that stuff I liked for nothing? Why did I do that? Ugh, I did it now. I can't go back. Let's try making some more marks. Oh, I can see a little bit of what I loved underneath there. Oh, gosh. Add some dark, add some light. I go back and forth, back and forth. It really is, oh, see, now that's not bad with that, that gradation, that softness of the gray in there. I kind of like that. And so I like that as a background. My squeeze bottle doesn't work all the time. It does get plugged up, especially when I'm doing it without, with wet background underneath. So, if all else fails, bring out the big guns and let's do a bigger squeeze bottle. Has more presence, certainly, than the smaller lines, which is quite likable. Still not exactly where I want it to be. Now, I went and added that as soon as I add, or that as soon as I wipe off and I have paint on the back side of the page, I so want to go and put it on some other page. But instead I put it back on this one because I was limiting myself to 3. So let's just put the paper on top because that background, no matter how I tried, it just was not working. And adding that page, those right angles, actually is not too bad. It has potential because the page also, the composition wasn't in half because that diagonal on the page, that swoop, it was light and dark. So now this has possibilities. It's not in half, even though I do some things that are in half on purpose, but typically I like things a little off center. Now this has more potential. And because I've talked long enough, I'll show you more of the process and finished pieces in other videos. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content on my channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.